Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Luke Ness Monster, and today we're going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Black series, Captain Enoch and Night Trooper 2-pack from the Ahsoka show. Now this set is a Walmart exclusive, and it's one of my most anticipated sets of the year, so I'm so excited to finally have this one in the mail. Both these figures are looking great, but looking at the packaging, flipping around to the side, we can see both the Enoch artwork here, as well as the Night Trooper, and it is kind of like split in half. I do think I like that they're doing like this mural artwork better than them doing like one on each side. I think the split on one side of the box is much better. But if we do flip around to the back, we can see both of the full mural artworks with Enoch on the left and the Night Trooper on the right, and this artwork is looking really, really good. Now this is a Walmart exclusive, so there is no number on this figure, but you can pause and read the bio if you would like. Now unfortunately my box did come a little crushed in the mail, so shout out to Walmart for their poor packing, but other than that, that is going to do it for the box. So let's go ahead, crack this guy open, and see what they have to offer. So we got these two figures on the spinny stand, and I gotta say, they are incredible. There's a ton of brand new sculpting on both of these figures that really, really surprised me. For basically just Stormtrooper repaints, there is so much new molding and sculpting that went into it, and I think both of these figures came out incredible. Surprisingly, Captain Enoch has a lot less new sculpting than the Night Trooper, which is surprising to me considering his design is drastically different, so quite interesting there. But either way, I think both of these figures look amazing. Visually, they look really, really good, and I cannot wait to get them off the spinny stand. So let's go ahead, get them off the spinny stand, and take a close look at all the details that these figures have to offer. First up, we're going to take a close-up look at Captain Enoch. So looking at the detail here, lots of stuff going on. He does have a brand new helmet and torso mold, as you can see here, looking great. I think one thing I really, really like is that all of these like gold cracks are actually sculpted into the mold for the helmet and the chest piece. Now, unfortunately, for stuff like the arm here and the shoulder pad, they are not sculpted in, they're just painted on. And that makes sense because a lot of this body is actually reused. The head is new, the chest is new, and then this like belt waist overcoat piece is new as well, but both of the legs and both of the arms, as well as like the underside of like the crotch and torso area, is all reuse, which honestly really, really surprised me. I was expecting this figure to be a whole lot more newer than the Night Trooper, but there's actually a ton more brand new sculpting on this Night Trooper than I was expecting. For starters, the helmet here is brand new as well. That's something that I really didn't think they needed to make a brand new mold for, but they did, and all of these gold cracks are sculpted into the mold, and it looks really, really good. But another thing is all the gold cracks, as well as the red like bandages or ribbons, whatever you want to call them, are also sculpted into the mold. So that basically means that the torso piece, the chest piece, this shoulder pad, this bicep, this forearm, and this leg are all brand new molds, which is surprising, but I think it came out really, really nice. If we take a close look at the chest detail here, the gold like filling in the cracks looks amazing. Same with these red like stripes and bandages. The sculpt is really, really good for them. The paint looks great, and overall there's a ton of detail like molded and sculpted into pretty much every piece of this figure, and it turned out amazing. This one is easily on my top 10 favorite figures of 2024 because the brand new sculpting, as well as the nice like subtle gold and red paint apps on this figure, are amazing. This one definitely takes the cake for me when it comes to my favorite of the two. Next up, we're doing a close-up here of the Night Trooper, and as you can see, you can really tell all of that nice sculpted gold detail into the figure. It's not just paint, it is sculpted in, and you can quite easily see that with this close-up. All the details are really, really nice on this figure, and it goes all the way around 360 on this helmet. And I cannot stress enough how amazing this sculpt really came out. And it might not look like it on camera, but in person, it really is amazing, and I absolutely love it. And now that we're doing the close-up here, it is also good to get a close-up of the armor with all that sculpted gold detail and the red bandages. Really, really turned out amazing. But of course, the Captain Enoch is pretty amazing as well, not for some of the other armor pieces, but mainly for the helmet. This helmet sculpt is awesome. I love the detail that went into the like humanoid face of the helmet. That's one thing that was really interesting about Enoch, and that's what really captured people's attention to him and why people really like the character and the character design. And I think that it was executed perfectly on this figure. I'm not sure what paint they used, but there's like a dark wash over the gold color, and it really makes it look like it's this like varnished brass gold color, and it looks really, really good. And of course, we still do have all the cracked sculpting and little bits here that go into the front of the helmet, as well as around back. The paint apps on these figures are amazing. That's probably why they ended up being exclusives, just because there's a lot of paint apps that go into it. But all of the gray and gold paint apps do go all the way around to the back of the helmet as well. Now he does come with a new blaster here, which is looking really good as well, with of course a holster for it. So as far as articulation goes, I'm not going to go over articulation on the Night Trooper just because the mold is still a base Stormtrooper mold, which we've already seen tons of times before in the line, and so we already know all of the articulation for this guy. We're not going to go over it again, but as far as Enoch goes, he does have this big skirt piece, and so I think it will be good to go over articulation again for him. So starting off with the head, he does have the double ball joint with the head and the neck, so tons of range of motion there. You're going to get him in any pretty much head looking position that you want, which is something that I think a lot of modern Black Series fans take for granted because that was not always the case. Now, of course, looking at the shoulder pads here, you can get him up into a T-pose, which is always good. And of course, the arms also do go all the way around. The shoulder pads are on like a little O-ring, so they will go with the arm, or they can move separate, whatever you like. The elbows are pretty standard for Stormtroopers, but they get well past 90. Then, of course, he does have a horizontal hinge on the left wrist and a vertical hinge at the right wrist. At the torso, he does have a ball joint. Now, the legs is where it's going to get interesting because we're going to see how much this like red skirt piece does get in the way. So as far as the kick up goes, not very much. Like I said, this red skirt piece does get in the way pretty quickly. Same with the kick back. You really don't get any kick back. But the skirt piece is just short enough to where you should be able to get all of the knee range of motion. So he does get to 90 there. And of course, with the ankles, he does have the rockers and the pivots. So overall, pretty standard articulation. Anyway, jumping into comparisons, first up we do have Grand Admiral Thrawn on the left. This is the archive version with the photo real, and I think it's looking really good next to Captain Enoch here. Now unfortunately we don't have the live action Ahsoka version just yet, but once we get that one in we will compare Enoch and the Night Trooper to him in his own personal review, so stay tuned for that if you do want to see it. But on the right we do have Morgan Elsbeth, and she's looking great next to the Night Trooper as well. Now she does have the green Loki effects, and I think that this is a great accessory for this figure. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with the figure, but if you ever find a like Loki figure that has these, it's a great accessory for your Morgan Elsbeth. Next up here, we do have a standard Stormtrooper on the left, and we do have the Death Trooper on the right. As you can definitely see, there is a huge color difference between the standard Stormtrooper and then the brand new Enoch and Night Trooper here. And honestly, I think this one is kind of valid. I think for starters, both Enoch and the Night Trooper don't have the nice, shiny, glossy effect that the standard Stormtrooper has, but it's also a little bit more yellowed, a little bit more muted. But as far as these characters go, I think this is a pretty valid choice. Both of these armors are old, they haven't been cleaned, they're cracked and damaged, and because of that, they yellow, and I think it makes a lot of sense that they're not going to be brand new, shiny, sparkly, plain white Stormtroopers. And so I actually do like the idea to change it up a little bit and not have them have that perfect, shiny, glossy armor. And then of course we do have the Death Trooper on the right, which is a little bit taller, and I do really hope we see a Night Trooper version of him as well in the future. Now next up we do have Baylan on the left and Shin Hati on the right. Both are looking great, and now I will say both of these figures have already had the leg swap. Baylan on the left is the Mercenary version, which is a Walmart exclusive, and the Shin on the right is actually the standard version, and I just threw the like Island Journey raised cloak on top of her. And honestly, both of these figures are looking great next to Enoch and the Night Trooper. I know they interacted a little bit in the show, but it's nice to see them all here in figure form, and I think they have a great like villain effect for your shelf. Next up for some more heroes, we do have Sabine on the left and we have Ezra on the right. Again, both of these figures are looking great next to the Night Trooper and Captain Enoch. And then last up for comparisons, we do have Ahsoka on the left and we have Hera on the right. Again, both of these figures are looking great, and it's nice to get some more hero representation next to these two villains. They're looking really, really good. So yeah, overall, I absolutely love these figures. I think that they are great additions to the Imperial line, as well as just the Ahsoka line in general. I do think the sculpting on both these figures are phenomenal, and I also think the paint apps are really, really impressive as well. The gold, like, cracking came out amazing, and the red, like, ribbons on the Night Trooper came out really great as well. This one has got to be like my most surprising set of the year, just when it comes to the amount of detail and paint apps that went into the figures. I was not expecting this set to be so detailed and so good, but it's one of my favorites so far of the year, and I definitely think that Night Trooper is going to make my top 10 of the year, so make sure to stay tuned for that because it's October now, so the top 10 list in December will be coming up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that, but that is going to do it for this review. So if you guys did enjoy, go down, hit the like button, subscribe, and I do highly recommend this figure to anybody who is an Ahsoka fan or just an Imperial fan in general. But that's gonna do it, so leave a comment what you guys think of these figures down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.